For the past 28 years, I've had the opportunity to work with many, many talented teachers. I've team taught with some, I've mentored many, I've had multiple interactions with many, many different teachers in different capacities. And I want to talk about a couple things that I find frequently intimidate new teachers. Um, One of them being subject matter. For some reason, high school teachers seem to be intimidated by the fact that they may not be an expert in the subject matter that they've been hired to teach. I can tell you this, don't let that intimidate you. The most important part of being a teacher is that the students know you care about them. The second most important part is having structure in your classroom. If you do those two things, you're going to be an outstanding teacher no matter what. Basically, making sure that you care about kids and that the kids know you care about kids. And the second is being structured, having structures in place, protocols and processes in your classroom to make it a safe, orderly place. The rest of learning will take care of itself. My first year teaching, I was basically staying about a week ahead of the students. My first 4 years of teaching, I added a different prep to my course load every single year. So every single year, the first 4 years, I was only a week ahead of the students. And you know what that means? That means that when the students asked me questions, my answer was frequently, I don't know. Let's let's look it up and learn together. Matter of fact, I've been doing this 28 years, and I had that experience just the other day. A young lady asked me about the nitrogen cycle, and I looked at her and said, I don't know the answer. It's a great question. And I made sure two things. One, she knew it was a great question. And two, demonstrating I'm a lifelong learner, I told her, let's look it up together. Nitrogen cycle, I understand it, but whenever I'm asked a question about the nitrogen cycle or teach it, I will refresh myself and I will go through and skim through the book and make sure I know the different steps in the nitrogen cycle, but there's multiple pathways. And so I opened up the book and said, let's learn it together. What a powerful lesson for that student, which is, I don't know. I didn't know the answer to her question, but I showed her there's nothing wrong with not knowing the answer to the question. So you don't have to be the smartest person in the room all the time for your subject matter. There might have been a couple other students in the class who remembered the nitrogen cycle and could have taught her just as well as I could have. So there's nothing wrong. The key is that you stay current, that you stay a week or two ahead of the students, and you continue to learn and show them you're a lifelong learner and that you're invested in them, and there's nothing wrong with not knowing to answer occasionally. So, I'll give you an example. Frequently, we'll hear teachers talk about, I have a new prep, and they're scared to death because at the end of the day, what they're saying is, I'm not an expert in this subject matter, and I'm going to have to relearn it, or I'm going to have to learn it for the first time. So, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't be intimidated by subject matter. The second thing I find that high school teachers get intimidated by is they're worried about that they're the only person that's going to convey this information to the student. What happens if I don't teach them something important? What if I miss a concept? They're worried about missing a standard. Again, these teachers are going to be awesome, or they are awesome. And I wish everybody thought like that and had the diligence and fidelity of being worried about missing one single standard. Because we've got teachers out there who, to some degree, could care less if they miss a couple standards. Um, but the moral of that story is this: is that at some point, hopefully, another teacher will hit upon that standard. Or if it involves us, if it's something the student needs to know for their employment in future days, they can learn it then because you've taught them the skill of not knowing something and how to learn it even if you don't know the answer. Because hopefully, somewhere along the way, you showed them that you're a lifelong learner. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know. I can tell you it typically takes about, at least me personally, about 3 years before I know what the questions are going to be. After 3 years, it becomes a lot easier. You'll know what the questions are they're going to ask you before they ask it, and you'll be prepared with the answers. But occasionally, even 28 years into it, they may ask you a question, and then you say, great question. You're thinking at a very, very high level. Let's look it up together. Or if you teach me that concept, I'll give you some extra credit. It's a very, very powerful lesson about being a lifelong learner and that nobody is the smartest person in the room and nobody knows it all. The world's not going to end if you miss a standard also. So those two things are issues that I see frequently intimidate new teachers. And I'm telling new teachers, I tell them this all the time. If you care about kids and you have structure in your classroom, you're going to be good. You're going to be successful. The students will teach you how to teach. And frequently, probably about a third of the information that I've learned over the last 28 years, I've learned directly from the students. If you ever follow the Scrub J issue with us, every single one of those points that I've learned about the Scrub J, I learned from kids, and I'm proud of that. You guys keep being awesome, keep being heroes, be the rock stars that you are out there. Absolutely so proud to call you my colleagues. Talk to you soon. Colster out.